Today I'm going to talk about sowing seeds. We are in the middle of October and I've already had collected quite a few unusual seeds of trees. Now, what I have here to begin with are these walnuts. Walnuts came straight off the tree. This is before we took the soft shell off. By the way, this black stuff, apparently if you soak it in water, in the olden days they used to make black ink with that, in case you didn't know. So that's why it is so black. So once you've cleaned it, you get these nuts, and I believe if you sow them straight away, they should germinate. I will show you a walnut tree that Josh managed to germinate years ago, and he says that they're quite easy to germinate. So that is one thing. The other seeds I got, several friends of me, they've got access to ginkgo trees. So this friend of mine collected these ginkgo seeds on, this is only in September he collected it September. So let me show you, I have not opened it, I'll show you what the ginkgo seeds look like, and this is it, ginkgo nuts. By the way, the ginkgo is a very versatile fruit, and the Chinese use it in a lot of their herbal medicines. It's supposed to have a lot of magical curative properties. So these are ginkgo nuts that he's collected. There's some more. And if you want to see the ginkgo nuts before they have been stripped, apparently the soft fruit can be quite toxic. So he warned me not to touch it with my bare hands. You see the liquid which is oozing out. You see, that's how you get the seeds out like that. And already it does stink a bit, not that bad, but it does have a bad smell, like rotten fruit. So those are the seeds of the ginkgo. Now some people sow it like that, but in nature, when these fruit fall on the ground, they just go in the ground and they germinate. So I'm going to do an experiment where I'm not going to take the shell off. I'm just going to sow them as they are. So I will do two experiments. Now how about the containers? Usually with seeds which are nutty and have deep roots, I can use a deep flower pot. Or if you use a bonsai pot, make sure that it's deep. These sort of pots are ideal. And if you don't have access to it, the ordinary seed trays are all right. I like these seed trays because they are quite deep. They're at least 2 inches deep. And this one is even deeper, 2.5 inches deep. So these are my favorite sort of seed trays that I use for sowing the seed. So let me show you what we do. And if you come around here, when you sow seeds, you don't have to use bonsai compost. I always remind people that there's no need to waste bonsai compost. Bonsai compost should be used for growing proper mature bonsai. It seems a shame you can use it, but why go to the expense of buying expensive bonsai compost when you're just sowing seeds? There are also special seed sowing compost, but I don't believe you need seed sowing compost. If you sow vegetable flower seeds and flower seeds, I think they do help, but for ordinary tree seeds, I find that the ordinary compost is quite adequate. Let me use that bonsai pot. So what I do is I just fill the pot up. Remember that these are quite large seeds, so we need to use it quite deep. In the past, I used to sow them in pure sand. You can use sharp sand and just sow it in sand if you wish. Okay, so that is the thing I would use. And if we were sowing these, I would just insert them in. You can place them so that they don't get too congested. As they say, there are many ways of skinning a cat. That's a good old English expression. And if you didn't want to be tidy, you just sew it tight together. and cover with a layer of soil. Sometimes people put a sheet of glass or bit of plastic or put in a plastic bag, but I usually like to leave them outside to weather in the natural elements, so the rain soaks in, and when the frost comes it breaks the dormancy when the frost hits it. So that is my walnut sowed. And in fact, if I have a lot of walnuts, I can even just scatter them into these trays and leave them to germinate, and when they germinate I then separate it. Let me just show you what I will do with this one. I will then, without taking too much trouble, in commercial nurseries, the way they sow the seeds, especially if they're going to be pricked out and separated on germination, is they just make a big trench and just scatter the seeds and forget about it. And when they come up, they dig them up and then pot them into individual little pots. So I've just scattered them over there. I haven't taken the trouble to set it out. You can if you wish, but this is how these are done commercially. I'm going to keep them like this, so when they germinate I'm going to follow the process through. So this, as I say, is an experiment. I always love doing experiments. Again, some people like to put a layer of sand on top of it, but I don't think you need to do that. I've also got a lot of conker trees, horse chestnut trees, and because I'm still waiting for all the nuts to fall, when they fall I will pick them up and germinate them separately. Now these ginkgo nuts, what I can do again with the ginkgo nuts, because I will separate them when they germinate, I will also go about pricking them out when they germinate. So that large drainage hole I will have to cover, so wait a moment while I bring a bit of mesh. So again, I fill the pot up. I wouldn't need to fill it too deep. And then I will just scatter them all in, because when they germinate, I'm going to separate them. So I'm not going to take too much effort to space them carefully. Don't cover it too deep. I usually like to just cover it with about ½ an inch of soil. So that is how I sow these seeds. Not rocket science. There are a few maple seeds here that I collected somewhere else, so I'll take care to separate them. So this time of the year I'm really busy collecting seeds, all types of seed. This is some sort of herbaceous plant seed, like a pea. So they're all quite interesting seeds, and even at my old age I still believe in sowing seeds, because they will be the trees for the next generation. So these are just two types I've done, walnut and ginkgo. When I collect more fruit from the conker tree, I will show you how I go about doing that, and also the acorns from my oak tree. So we're under this huge oak tree in our car park, and if you look at the ground here, it is just covered in acorns. Every morning we've got to sweep the floor, we've got to sweep the car park, because it's covered with acorns. All over the place we have acorns. And if I can show you what a lot of acorns we have. piles and piles of them. So these are the acorns, and each acorn is going to produce a mighty oak tree in years to come. So I'm going to collect a few of these and sow them and show you what happens. In fact, I shouldn't be wasting my time sowing them because they come up on the verges of the grass and on the side of the road, so I don't really have to sow them. But to show you what the inside of the acorn looks like, it's literally a nut. And they've got this beautiful shape, like a cup shape. So these are acorns, English oak. There are many types of oak. When I was in Canada, they have a white oak, and in America they've got red oaks, many types of red oak. So oak trees do make nice bonsai. So I will now go and collect some conker tree seeds, horse chestnut seeds. One at a time. So these are what I swept up from my car park, and these are the acorns. As I say, you don't need to space it. I will just throw them in like that, and next year when they all germinate, you will get a clutch of seedlings, and all you have to do is to separate it. And in the business, it's called pricking out the seedlings. So that is the acorn, and same with the conker seedlings. You can put it in individual pots if you wish, but because I separate them when they germinate, I probably will not take the trouble to put them into individual pots. They will all germinate. It's just to show that you don't have to be too fussy about these things. Very simple methods are just as effective. And then I will put little labels on it so that I remember what is what. So this was conker. Or horse chestnut. And this is acorn or oak. So now that it's done, all I have to do is wait till possibly April or May of next year when they will germinate and I can separate them. So that is one job done. So easy. So I'm here in another part of a nursery, and I have another huge oak tree. This tree must be about 130, 140 feet tall. And the trunk diameter of that oak is about 4 or 5 foot. That's the size of my gate there. And look at it. Every day we have to go around with a broom to sweep all the acorns up. And look at all the acorns down here. Hundreds upon thousands. This is just what has fallen today. Every day we sweep this area. We sweep all the acorns up. That is all the acorns there. Can you imagine if we sowed them and sold each plant? There would be so many. So the entire car park is covered in acorns, all from that great big mighty oak. So let me show you the source of my horse chestnut or conkers that I collect. And these are the conker trees along my boundary and my hedge. They're all about 80 or 100 foot tall trees, not all conkers. There's a mixture of beech and conker trees. And underneath these trees, hundreds and hundreds of these conkers fall down each year. And I collect them. And here on the ground, this is the conker leaves. In fact, we've collected quite a few already. So this is what you're looking for, this sort of thing. These are the conkers. And the more you go around, the more you will find. They're strewn all over the place. So This is what we are looking for, these conkers. And we pick them up. I found one with the shell. You see, they've got this very prickly shell on it. And inside that prickly shell is the conker. So for those of you who don't know what a conker is, that is the conker. And that is the source of our seeds for Sowing. There's some more conkers in their shells, see? It's not the sweet chestnut. The sweet chestnut is similar, but not exactly the same. So let me conclude this video by showing you some examples of seedlings that we have grown. These are Ginkgo seedlings. These are about 5 to 6 or 7 years old, and you can wire them if you wish. We also have Ginkgos which are much older, but these are Japanese trees. They've got 1 and 2 inch diameter trunks. So this is what happens if you grow them for many years. But don't be put off. Bonsai is a patient game, and you will get results in quite a short space of time. Let me just walk through an example of an oak tree and a horse chestnut or conker tree, just to give you encouragement. After all, the fun of growing bonsai is to see things grow. It's all very well to buy a finished tree, but I think personally there's much more satisfaction in developing a thing from young. So this is a conker tree that, as you can see, we've said it's about 40 years old. This I was displaying at Wisley earlier this year. I brought it back and the leaves have fallen. It's a very beautiful tree. It was just a straight tree. I cut off the leader and encouraged the side branch to grow. This tree has never been wired. It's simply by cut and grow, and I've got that shape. And this is a young conker which is just 2 years old. I've already wired it in an S shape, only 2 years from growing from seed. This is an oak seedling. This is a 1-year-old seedling. You can see it's in its pot. There you are. 1-year-old seedling, and that is a much older oak tree. We have many examples of oak on the nursery. That's a thick one, but it's possible to grow them from acorn. And finally, let me conclude the video by showing you one more thing. Quince is also very easy to grow from seed. I think I've shown you in the past. Quince seedlings, they certainly become matchstick thick after 1 year. I have been waiting for these quince fruit to ripen. When they are green, they are not quite ripe. So if you look at that fruit, that is not quite ripe. But this one is far riper. And when they are ripe, they just fall off. So some of these fruit are just falling off the tree. So what I'm going to do, I don't want to waste time showing it to you. I will cut the seeds out from inside here and use the fruit to either eat or stew. And I will get twice my money. That means I can grow the seeds and I also enjoy the fruit. So how interesting bonsai can be. So I hope you will feel brave and experiment with seed sowing, especially the more unusual seeds like the ones I showed you in this video.